Hey guys, it's LSuperSonicQ here, and this is an important video that I want to make because it's something that has really started to bother me, and I want other people to know about this. So this is going to be a video on kind of a holiday gift guide on how to avoid counterfeit merchandise as well as scalpers. So whether you're a parent buying a plush toy or an action figure for your kid, or maybe you're just a new collector and you don't know the difference between bootlegs and official merchandise, I want this guide to kind of be the framework for how you guys shop this holiday season. Because no one wants to be stuck with bootleg or counterfeit merchandise, and you definitely don't want to be paying scalper prices for toys that you can find in the store. So we're going to begin with the greater of the evils, which is counterfeit merchandise. So for anyone who doesn't know, counterfeit merchandise is categorized as illegal, unlicensed, unofficial products that are direct copies of already existing official products. So there's tons and tons of counterfeit merchandise, but this video specifically is going to cover two huge popular franchises that are really big this holiday season, and that's Super Mario as well as Five Nights at Freddy's. So counterfeit merchandise exists pretty much everywhere except like retail stores. Anywhere online though, it can exist, whether that be eBay or Amazon or any other online store. But this video specifically is going to cover eBay because they're most rampant on eBay. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is take a look at how to identify a fake item on eBay. Before we jump into an actual listing though, I want to set some guidelines as to what specifically to look for. Now you might want to write these down because in 99% of the cases, these are exactly what you should be looking for when you want to decide if the item you're looking at is a bootleg, counterfeit, or if it's an officially licensed product. The first telltale sign is that they're from China. So China, Hong Kong, that area of the world pumps out more bootlegs than any other area. It's just fact. So even though the official products are made in China, like the ones that you see in Toys R Us and stuff, the ones on eBay coming from China are 99% of the time bootleg counterfeit. The second telltale sign is that they're cheap. Now, this may or may not apply to whatever listing you're looking at because plush toys in general are around the $10 or $12 mark like the ones you'd buy at Toys R Us. But specifically the ones on eBay that are like 99 cents or $5 or less, or even, $7, like if they're anywhere near that mark, then that's even more of a chance that they are fake because they're made so cheap in China that they can afford to list them for that kind of price because they're still going to be making money, and you the consumer think, wow, a 99-cent plush, let's buy this because it saves me some money, and who wouldn't want to save money? The next warning sign is if there have been many sold or many available. So what I mean by that is if you click open an auction and it says that there have been 10 sold or 20 sold or 100 sold or 200 sold, that most likely means that it's a bootleg because kind of going back to the previous warning sign, they make these so cheap that they can afford to make just hundreds or thousands of them. And as a result, they're going to have hundreds or thousands available for sale, or they've already sold them. So if they have a lot for sale, like more than 10 available, which I think is the highest that eBay lets you list something as, more than 10 available, or if they've sold like tens or hundreds of units, then that most likely means it's fake. And the last sign is if something just doesn't look right. So Mario should have a red hat, a red M on his hat, and he should have a mustache that has little kind of curls in it. It's not smooth like Luigi's, who has a smooth mustache. So you just have to kind of, this might be a little harder to do, but you just kind of have to look at the character and know whether or not, okay, that looks right or that looks wrong. Or if you're more familiar with certain characters in certain plush designs, maybe, the head isn't exactly sewn correctly, or the nose is too big or too small. So you might have to use your judgment there. But if something doesn't look right, then chances are, especially if it has the past three warning signs I mentioned, then it's fake. Okay, so let's take a look at some examples on how we're going to use the warning signs to identify a fake listing. So this is a listing for a Super Mario Bowser Jr. plush, and well, there's more than 10 available with 172 sold. That falls into one of the warning signs, as well as it being $10, a reasonably, decent price. It's not actually located in China, however, it is coming from California, which is pretty close to China. They can easily import from, that part of the country. And also, if you look at the picture, this one is like a stock image, but then if you actually look at the real picture, he's kind of leaning over and some of his stitching seems pretty inaccurate. So this is a fake plush. So here's another listing for a Bowser Jr. plush, and this one has all the same warning signs as the other one with more than 10 available, 68 sold. It's $10, which is a reasonable price. It's coming from California. However, notice that there's a Christmas hat on it. Now, there's no official Bowser Jr. plush that has a Christmas hat on it. So even though you could argue, well, maybe it's a real plush, but the hat is just like a little cute thing that they decided to put on it, no. Any kinds of additions or modifications to a plush, especially with 68 sold, the whole plush is fake. The whole thing is counterfeit, so don't buy this. And this is the last Mario plush we'll take a look at, but it's Dry Bones. So once again, 7 available, 170 sold. The price is around $10, but it's actually a little odd because it's like $9.86, not just like $9.99. And it is coming from California, but really bootlegs can come from anywhere. It's just a lot of them are from China. And if you look at the picture as well, it's kind of weird how the seller's making Dry Bones be a DJ. Like a legit plush seller wouldn't even think to do that. And notice that there's no tags on the plush at all, and it's also stitched kind of weird. So hopefully from these 3 listings I showed you guys, you can kind of get a feel for what to look out for and what auctions should make you feel a little unsettled about, buying from them. Okay, so let's take a look at some Counterfeit 5 Nights stuff. So let's start with some figures. Now, okay, so there's a lot of things wrong with this. First off, let's go back to what we were saying before about how there was 252 sold and there's more than 10 available. These ones are once again still coming from California, and they're also like kind of a weird price, you know? The 5 Nights figures that I know that I see in GameStop are like $15 per one figure. These ones are $15 for a whole set, so that's fishy. But also, look at the figures themselves. These are not the official Funko figures. These are just literally knockoffs, bootlegs, counterfeits. The official 5 Nights figures, at least the ones that these are trying to copy, should be like, $15.99 each or around there. They should be in boxes. They should be made by Funko, and you can find them at GameStop and stuff. So these are totally fake, totally bootleg. Don't buy these. So here's a 5 Nights plush. Now you might think that this Bonnie is official, because look, the title says 5 Nights at Freddy's Sanshi Bonnie plush, and Sanshi did make a Bonnie plush, but let's take a look at the evidence. Now, of course, this one, because it's just a bidding, it doesn't actually say, like, more than 10 available, 1,000 sold, or whatever. It doesn't say that. But this one is actually coming from Hong Kong. And if you know anything about the Sanshi Bonnie plush, you could, Google it. Go to Sanshi's website, actually. The Sanshi Bonnie plush goes for, like $25, $30 or so, and it comes in a box, and it looks a lot different than that picture. So just familiarizing yourself with, what these items are can definitely help you avoid fakes, because this is totally fake. Alright, as one last kind of way to hammer this point home, here's another listing. Now this one's for a set of 4 plushes, and of course $20 for a set of 4 plushes that are this big. They're bootlegs of the Sanshi ones again, and those should be like $30 each. These ones are coming from China. There's tons available, tons sold. The picture is also kind of weird, and those plushes look nothing like the official plushes should look like. So just another example of, another fake listing. So those are some of the more common signs to look out for when buying stuff from eBay. But of course, there are some other tricks that people do and other, products that, you might not be familiar with. But generally speaking, that's what to watch out for. And I hope it helps you to some degree. I do want to kind of cover, though, if you've made it this long, I might as well go the full mile. I want to talk about why bootlegs are so bad and why you shouldn't put up with this and why you should avoid them. Because you might be saying, well, what's the point? My kid isn't going to know, or if you're a collector, I don't care if it's a bootleg, I just want a Sonic plush. But this is why it's important to avoid them. So the first and foremost reason why you don't want to buy bootlegs or counterfeit products is because, well, one, they're not proven safe. So in America, we have all those regulations on what materials we can use, and we have to make sure our products are safe for consumers. In China and all these places that make them, there are no requirements. So I feel like a lot of it happens more frequently than you hear about, but there could be plushes that have needles left in them from the factory. They could be stuffed with hazardous materials. The figures could be painted with lead paint. We really don't know what's going into these products, and Like, you would hate to give your kid, a figure that has lead paint on it because you just don't know. And I really feel like it happens more than we hear about. So be vigilant and just don't put up with these cheap knockoffs. And if you're a collector, do you really want bootlegs in your collection? Like, it'll just devalue your whole collection, and they're not pretty to look at, so just don't buy them. Another issue is just the ethics of the working conditions for the people that make these. So obviously they're sweatshops, people get paid pennies or literally nothing. And, do you really want a plush that was made in a sweatshop in really bad conditions? It's a very bad circumstance to support. Additionally, when you buy bootleg or knockoff products, it hurts the official companies because not only does it take money away from their official products, but it hurts the brand. So let's say you didn't know you bought a bootleg Five Nights plush, and let's just say it fell apart, like all the stitching fell apart. You would probably say to yourself, man, I can't believe Five Nights and Funko and like whatever company you thought made this plush. It's horrible. I'm never going to buy one of their things again. And little do you know that Funko didn't actually make this. And finally, by continuing to buy counterfeits or supporting counterfeiters, you are giving them more of your money so that they can reinvest it into more equipment, more labor, more counterfeits, and in turn, that's just gonna pump them out into the market even faster, and that's no good. So with that said, that kind of ends the section for counterfeits. I hope you found it interesting and informative, and I hope that this Christmas season, and any time really, you can be vigilant in the fight against counterfeits and know what to look out for and know not to support that industry. Now, if you're still interested in counterfeits and that kinds of things, specific products or anything like that you want to know more about reals versus fake, you could comment me or message me about a specific brand or a specific product that you want me to maybe make a video on to focus on the counterfeits, or just for this holiday season, I can help you out if you want to find a certain item in an official spot to buy it or anything like that. I primarily specialize in video game merchandise, so like Mario, Sonic, Five Nights, Legend of Zelda, that kind of stuff. But I also know some stuff about anime and manga counterfeit plushes and figures and statues and stuff like that. So with that said, if you're still interested in what I have to say about scalpers and why they're an issue and why you should not support them this holiday season, then stick around because that's the next topic. So the act of scalping is buying up all of the items in a certain area, or most of the items in a certain area, and then flipping them for a profit. So some scalping is actually illegal, but unfortunately scalping collectibles is not illegal, even though I think it should be. So this was an issue that started with the amiibos way back in 2014 and has snowballed so out of control that it's like an issue that's literally second to counterfeits, at least in my opinion. So keeping with the theme of this video, a lot of the scalping that I see is for Five Nights at Freddy's exclusive plushes, World of Nintendo Jack-specific 4-inch action figures, the Tomy Sonic the Hedgehog new figures that just came out, Pokemon 20th anniversary merchandise. Literally anything in the video game collecting scene right now is being scalped, and it's a real issue. So identifying scalpers is a lot easier than identifying counterfeits because whatever item you're looking for, you should know the retail price for it. And if you go on eBay and try and find that item and the price that the seller is charging is like 3 or 4 or 5 times above retail price, that's a scalper. So maybe you're on eBay looking for a World of Nintendo figure and you find it. However, the price is above retail price and it's a scalper's price. But you really want the figure and you have the money to spend on it, so you decide you're going to buy it. Well, this is the issue with doing that. First off, it's unfair to you, the consumer, that you even have to pay outrageous prices for these toys that are supposed to be cheap and available at retail. So when you see Five Nights at Freddy's plushes going for $40 on eBay, no, you shouldn't have to buy that. You want to know why? Because those plushes were manufactured to be available at retail for $12.99, $13.99, something like that, and it's unfair to you, the consumer, that you have to pay that much money for that plush. Now you might say to yourself, well dang, I can't find that plush in my area, I'm going to have to buy it online. You don't, because when you give scalpers your money, that enables them to go back to those stores and buy up more of the stock because it's working. If scalpers couldn't sell their stuff or turn a profit with it, they'd stop doing it. So when you give them money, it enables them to go back to the stores and buy up more of the stock. If you don't support them and don't give them your money, then they're stuck with stock for months, they lose money, and eventually the manufacturer will get more product out to you where you can go to the store and buy it and not have to deal with eBay. And that's another thing too, is that you gotta be patient, because in a lot of these cases, people tend to scalp the things that just came out. So if like there are a couple listings for a new 5 Nights plush or something, instead of just buying it right away and, paying the price that they want you to pay, just wait a few weeks or so, and then maybe you'll find it at the stores, or at the very least, more will become available, the price will go down, or maybe you can shop elsewhere online. I mean, there are alternate ways to get the items you want without feeding into eBay scalping. And yeah, that might be hard to do with the holidays coming up, but at least in my eyes, I would much rather support like a toy store and actually give, these companies my money directly, rather than going through, a middleman and paying outrageous prices and, feeling like I got ripped off when, I could have just waited a couple extra months or searched elsewhere and found it for a better price. So eBay is not the be-all end-all of rare things, because it's out there and they're making more of it, especially in terms of the topics and collectibles I talked about today. You just have to know where to look and be patient. So with that said, that does it for this video covering the basics of how to avoid counterfeits as well as scalpers this holiday season. I hope that you guys found some sort of value to it, learned something, and going forward might think a little bit harder about whether or not the items you're buying from eBay are officially licensed or not, and whether or not you're going to give a scalper your hard-earned money. Just to throw in some personal 2 cents, I think that scalpers are absolute scum. They're sleazy, they're scumbags, and I avoid them at all costs. I think it's disgusting what they do, and it just ruins a lot of the fun. Because, not only, as I was saying, does, it drive the prices up online for all these figures, but I can't go down to the store anymore and find a World of Nintendo figure. You want to know why? Because scalpers bought them all up and they're on eBay now. And the battle against counterfeits is something that really I don't think will ever successfully be won, because at this point there's so many fakes in circulation and they keep getting pumped out at such a rapid rate, it's really impossible to control it. But as long as more people are informed about it, then they can, pass on the word that, hey, don't buy this. Hey, if it's coming from China, don't support this. And hopefully, one by one, we can kind of amass to a larger voice, and just everyone can be aware that, counterfeits are bad and that people shouldn't buy them. With all the money and resources, especially Nintendo, all the money and resources that Nintendo has, I really don't know why they don't have a separate counterfeit merchandise kind of sector to their company now, because I know they have a piracy sector. I don't know why they don't have a counterfeit sector. All they have to do is go on eBay, type in Mario plush, and literally like everything on the first page and the first probably 10 pages, they could just flag and take down. And I know that seems pretty impossible because it's just so much. But maybe you target like the really big ones, the ones that have like 1,000 sold and the high hundreds sold, because there was this one listing, I'm not sure if it's still out there. It was a Bowser Jr. plush. It was $9.99 and there were over 2,000 units sold. That's over $20,000 of illegal counterfeit bootleg money. And that's just one small part of the bigger issue. How much money do you think Nintendo or even the Pokemon company? Guys, there are so many, as I said in the beginning of the video, there are so many bootlegs and counterfeits to every single franchise. The bigger the franchise, the more fakes and bootlegs there are. There might be more Pokemon bootlegs than Nintendo bootlegs as like a whole. So it's just a crazy epidemic that I really want people to know about, and I hope this video gave some kind of enlightenment to that topic. So with that said, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you end up getting all the gifts you want this holiday season while avoiding all the negatives that I discussed in this video. So with that said, I'm LSuperSonicQ, and until the next video, Finn.